So before I start this video, I just wanted to talk to you very briefly about the fact that you may have noticed that there are little adverts that appear before these videos. This is called monetization, and this is not me monetizing the channel for my own personal gain. Basically, it's very difficult to get a hold of what the metrics are for running a YouTube channel, what the earning potential is, what YouTube will pay you to put little adverts at the beginning of your films. So I'm doing that for the community to share with you the earning potential, which I believe will be meager. I want to dispel the myths about the earning potential of YouTube as a kind of a career path, because I think that this channel will probably earn pennies. If it's anything more meaningful, I will of course put it to a good cause, and that cause will not be more modular synths, I promise. Anyway, on with the show. For a capital city, Edinburgh is relatively small, maybe just under 500,000 people compared to, say, 9 million people in London. I came here because it feels like a capital city. It's diverse, it's rich in culture, it's got castles, but it's also massively overspecced for a town of this size. An amazing array of restaurants, bars, shops, theatres, galleries, parks, beaches, and, go on, say it, Henson. Go on. Castles. It's kind of like having your Fitbit boosted to a 4 terabyte SSD just to store your foot counts. And why is Edinburgh so overspecced? Well, because in August, literally millions of people descend on Edinburgh for the Edinburgh Arts Festival, biggest in the world, but also the bigger Fringe Festival. And when I say bigger, I mean fucking enormous. Sorry, I've got to get my notes out here because I can't actually remember numbers this big. There's over 300 venues, 3,000 shows with nearly 30,000 performers playing over 50,000 performances, and tickets sold 2.3 million. That's not pounds or dollars, that's tickets, units, bums on seats. And that's just the 2015 figures, which is kind of like performing 115 sellout shows consecutively at the O2 Arena within a 4-week period. So imagine that's 4 sellout shows a day at the O2 Arena. Now, when you bear in mind that a lot of these venues are no bigger than your nan's front room, and they smell the same as well, gravy and piss, but it is just incredible. And whilst it's great for the Edinburgh purse, Edinburgh people absolutely fucking hate the festival. And me, well, I struggle with it because I'm a completist, so I have to see and check out everything in order to make calculated decisions. How do you work out which is the best one? So I just tend to bury my head under a pillow and go, "Ah." I am actually going to try and see some shows this year. Now, I'm not going to give you any advice on where to go during the festival for kind of festival-y stuff, because the only advice you'd get out of me is that of what I got up to in 1989 when I just started drinking Holston Pils. So here's a very brief expat's guide to Edinburgh to help you avoid the festival, or indeed any time that you come to this wonderful city. Christmas is particularly nice. Places to drink, eat, and avoid the grockles. Project Coffee in Bruntsfield allegedly started the coffee revolution in Edinburgh, but for me, it's the best breakfast you can get in this city. Their vegetarian breakfast, I know that's kind of like an oxymoron, is so good, I actually became a vegetarian. Arguably the best coffee in Edinburgh, again in Bruntsfield, but run by a bunch of kind of Shoreditch style tossers who take coffee making so seriously. It's as if they're kind of curing Alzheimer's disease. I avoid it like the plague. If I ever had the misfortune of being offered up a final meal, I would ask for a pizza. I think it is truly the most gastronomic delight on the planet. But I believe pizzas shouldn't be a lake of melted cheese on a bread base. So if you share my views towards pizza, Soderbergh in Quarter Mile, which is a new district in Edinburgh, and when I say district, it's 2 streets, is the best pizza in Edinburgh by a country mile. It also offers up a kind of a bit of kind of Swedish hygge, which is, I think, actually a Danish word. Fucking cunting, fucking seagulls. Coffee here is really good, and I would say almost as good as artisan coffee, but without the twats. Artisan coffee, even the name makes me cringe. Hi, yeah, I'm an artisan. Really? That's a word I haven't heard for a while. Maybe since the kind of Middle Ages. Yeah, no, artisan. What kind of artisan-y stuff do you do? Yeah, I make coffees like lattes and double espressos, that kind of thing, yeah. Fuck, it's not opening for a couple of hours. Now, it may not be much to look at, but the beach house in Portobello arguably makes the best sandwiches in the UK. It's hot smoked fish sandwiches. The view isn't bad either. Best Italian that I've found so far. Their tiger prawn linguine is a classic. And if you're looking for something posh, the Witchery is a fantastic experience. Maybe not a particularly culinary one, but great traditional kind of Scottish fare. And they do a fantastic Rioja 904. Best Thai restaurant by a country mile. The Dogs, good kind of gastropub fare. Henderson's, standard fixture for vegetarians. And further down Thistle Street is the Angry Vegans version. Other places of note include the Shore Restaurant and Bar at the Shore. It's not the Ship Restaurant at the Shore, but the Shore at the Shore and Leith for the best, I would say the best fish in Edinburgh. There's also, for the best curry, go to Kebab Mahal behind the, what's it called? Mosque. They don't sell alcohol and they don't allow you to drink alcohol there. So you can kind of enjoy the true delights of a chicken curry with a Fanta orange. Also, the Ox Restaurant and Bar is possibly the best roast Sunday lunch I've ever had anywhere other than someone's house, ever. Peppery. Now, a good walk starts here in Grassmarket, which doesn't look like it does for the rest of the day. Basically, it's very early in the morning, so there aren't throngs of people getting pissed as there usually are around here. And the thing to do is to go up Victoria Street. Then, across the Royal Mile, trying not to get run over, and down towards Newtown. Hey! Then across Princes Street, past the National Gallery, up Hanover Street, onto Queen Street. We're looking for Howe Street, and then down Queen Street Garden West towards Howe Street, which will land you firmly in Newtown. So the Royal Mile back there is Old Town, and this is Newtown, which is the, I believe, largest concentration of Georgian architecture in the world. Once they finished with Edinburgh, they kind of farted out Bath. There's an interesting social experiment here whereby in London, people were living cheek by jowl. So basically you had your big townhouses, and then round the corner you'd have your stables or mews, which is where your servants would live. And what they tried here in Edinburgh, and failed apparently, was vertical living. So the further up you were, the kind of more hoity-toity you were, and then further down was into kind of where all your servants were kept. And famously, the servants' entrances were round the back, where you chuck your poos out the top floor. So continue heading down Howe Street, and then we're going to take a left down here, across these amazing cobbled streets that taxi drivers hate nearly as much as the Edinburgh Festival. Yes, so left down South East Circus Place to North Circus Place. Down we go into this gorgeous area. You know it's been gentrified because there's a Farrow and Ball down here, which leads us into Stockbridge proper, which might not look like anything now, but at night time it's kind of throngs of people drinking in these cool pubs in these little kind of basements all the way down these kind of streets. Stockbridge is one of my favourite parts of Edinburgh, not just because I live here, but because it's very much about the kind of the vibe and things like that. Beautiful bits of river and stuff, which leads us to my second kind of little wonder that I would recommend whilst you're in Edinburgh. Because of Edinburgh's size, it doesn't suffer that aloof rudeness that you often get in many capital cities, born of anonymity. Why be nice to a customer you're never going to see again? The cab drivers are friendly and aren't kind of massive right-wing racists as they are down south. Indeed, your average man on the street is likely to be more of a left-leaning socialist than a right-leaning kind of Sun newspaper reader, if you get my drift. By all means, do the Royal Mile, but I would recommend this time as the best, at 5:40 in the morning. If nothing but to see the cool little wines that run off the Royal Mile, off the mound. So you've got your standard fare, like the observatory there behind me, and the beautiful castle up here, and all of the galleries, amazing. Alongside loads of amazing museums and stuff like that, all worth visiting. The thing you'll notice about Edinburgh is areas are tiny, so you'll literally have an area called postbox corner, which will literally be a postbox with a corner on. So no sooner are we in Stockbridge that we're now transported to Dean Village. Heading up here, Dean Terrace, there's a little bridge which we'll go across, and there's this kind of secret park that is just simply gorgeous. Okay, so halfway up Dean Terrace is this handsome bridge that will lead us into this little oasis, this beautiful little sanctuary. There's a posh private one up there, but this is open to the public. Down here, and this is called the Dean. Absolutely stunning. And this is when you really get a measure of Edinburgh, which is very much built on different kind of vertices. It's very much a vertical city. And this area, I think, it just looks like someone's taken a Monet painting and gone, should we put a city in there? I mean, come on, absolutely ridiculous. Just one of those many parts of Edinburgh that us as outsiders, before you visit the place, you don't even hear about. And it wasn't until my wife showed me around here, I was just gobsmacked. It literally is like walking into the middle of a Monet. I'm just going to take you a bit further down, where you can see these beautiful elevations of this Georgian architecture. Absolutely stunning. It's not so clear to see it this time of year, but I don't know if you can see, like peeking through this Monet, are these towering Georgian townhouses. You look here and then go up there. It's like, whoa boy. And then through here, this beautiful bridge. Just absolutely sensational. And there's loads of places like this. There's this place called the Hermitage, which I only discovered like 2 years into living here. Amazing. So that's walk number 2. What I love about Edinburgh is it scores low on the wanky factor. There's no kind of Soho houses here, although they are working on it. There's a fucking ivy that's sprung up and a dishoon. But basically, this kind of stereotype of Scots being stingy is incorrect. They're just canny. They don't believe in spending more money than they should on a comparable item or experience. So when you go for the kind of Michelin-starred restaurants and stuff here, you will be disappointed, because basically it's to cater for the wankers. Whereas actually if you go somewhere like the Ox, or, you know, even I was at the kind of the botanical gardens, we sat down and had a meal, because Scotland has the best produce, arguably, certainly in the UK, if not the world, for certain things like venison and steak and salmon and oysters. You can sit down in a museum and get a plate of something that's reasonable and go, fuck me, this is just delicious. And that's what's been the real treat of Edinburgh for me, is unlocking these little gems. And I hope to unlock some more for many more festivals to come. Please don't be like me and stick your head under a pillow. The festival, if you haven't experienced it, is well worth travelling out to see. And Edinburgh itself, well, there's a reason they call it the Athens of the North. Let's face it, you don't come to Edinburgh for the shopping. However, if you need your fix, George Street is okay. I mean, you've got all your standard kind of touristy fare, like tweed dogs and teacups, artisan whiskey. It tastes like shit. Big noses. It's quite a big stag and hen party town, Edinburgh. So there's that kind of toot everywhere as well. And if you need your fix, Red Dog Music is very well equipped with the most ridiculous view of the castle. Coda Music on Bank Street is a fantastic music shop. In fact, there are no mainstream kind of chain record stores. The last HMV closed maybe about 2 years ago here in Edinburgh, but there's loads of independents, which is kind of, it's sad that the HMV closed, but it's also kind of good because basically the independents won. Down this end of Princes Street is an Apple store. It's okay, you're safe. Dick's is by far the best shop in Edinburgh. If Spitfire could have a shop, it would be this. And this is not just the best pub in Edinburgh, this is the best pub in the world. Not say me, say Rick Stein, and he knows a pub or two. Followers of my Instagram account will see countless photos taken in here. Ignore the rude silence, they're a lot friendlier now. Go for a pint of Tennant's, seriously, smorgasbord broad sandwiches, and the really boozy puddings. For cheese, IJ Mellis & Co. of Morningside. Now Morningside is kind of like the East Dulwich of Edinburgh and the old stomping ground of J.K. Rowling. This is where I buy my taxidermy for my studio, run by a fantastic woman with an excellent eye for a good kind of antique bargain. Now this pub, very friendly, it's kind of okay, but what it does do, it's called the Golf Tavern, is rent out clubs for this 36-hole pitch and putt right in the centre of Edinburgh. And for pubs in the centre of Edinburgh, I'd recommend the Doric, which is on Market Street, I believe, set in its good old ways, cash only, and right, 2,999 to pick from. It's really pissing it down. That's the one thing to remember about the weather here in Edinburgh. It's not particularly awful like I think it's kind of cooked up to be, but it's just so changeable. So when I was on the beach earlier and then I was in the meadows pissing it down, and it's pissing it down now, but I can kind of feel that the sun's trying to come out. Anyway, if you don't bring your brolly, you'll be sorry, and if you do bring your coat, you'll be sorry because you'll be too hot. So it's very, very changeable. The one thing you really notice is we are kind of fairly far north, so it really is light very early in the morning and very late at night. So I would say, as a precaution, bring what they called eye shady, blocky, outy light things. Sorry, the rain is distracting me because it's getting all over the lens. Okay, so literally, the best way to approach Arthur's Seat is if you come down Holyrood Park Road, the Commonwealth Pools, you'll basically see there's a fork in the road. Now that's the way all the tourists go, which is a really unpleasant staircase, but it's really easy because it just takes you straight to the top. We're going to go this way. You go up and over the top, and if you've timed it just right, just as the sun is raising above the yard arm, there's a nice treat at the end for you. Yeah, look, it's already stopped raining. So there's basically a little fork in this path that becomes a little more of a trail. You want to stick on the pathy bit. This is the only difficult bit. So you'll climb up to this beautiful spot. You'll probably see me do a few bits of camera there. It is quite a steep hike though, this bit, but only for about 3 or 4 minutes. Nice reveal of the Firth and the North Sea. Just last bit of the climb is here. Right, when you get to the top here, there is a choice. Now you can go and join your Grockle pals up there on Arthur's Seat. Beautiful view, by the way. Or indeed, just turn your attentions to a descent down this way. A little side note, if you want to come to Holyrood Park and literally be the only person here, you don't have to, it's not very early anymore, you don't have to get up very early. Just go out when it's raining. If there's one thing Scots don't do, they just don't fucking do the rain. And it's a kind of a mild, dreich morning. It's more of a Scotch mist than raining, but literally not a soul, not one person in Holyrood Park. Quite extraordinary. Anyway, back to the matter in hand, and this is for the benefit of those of you taking an afternoon walk. Head down towards Dunshappy. Dunshappy Lock is there, car park is there. So, car park, take a right along the road, then left at the bench and down these, well, it's kind of a path with some steps on towards Duddingston Village, then down these little steps. Well, I say little, it's 300 of them. Good for the abs, I'm told. Then the bottom of the stairs, take a left up this rather attractive alleyway to arrive here for a wee swally at the Sheephead Inn pub, circa 1347. Not the best pub in Edinburgh, but the history is great and they know how to pour a pint. It's a little bit early for me, so I'm just going to head back over and fix the kids' breakfast. So if you're still with me, thank you so much for letting me indulge and go so rampantly off topic. I'll be back on subject in the next video. Worth bookmarking all of the links below from this little mini tour just in case you ever come to Edinburgh. It'll save you ending up in some horrific hotel bar. And that's a final parting thought, is Scottish hotels are about 20 years behind what they are down in London, these kind of trendy hangout joints. So just avoid them like the plague. All you'll be doing is going, excuse me, sir, can I have a Peroni? Yes, sir, a small bottle. And can I just check, is that small bottle of Peroni exactly double the price of the Peroni in the rather nice pub next door? Absolutely, sir. £9.80. Right, great. I'll have one of those then. And will you require a small Petri dish of nuts? Oh, yeah, that sounds nice. And are they covered in the micturate of others? Absolutely, sir. I have been to the toilet at least 3 times today and haven't washed my hands once. Brilliant. And will you be requiring a tip? No, that's absolutely fine. We'll add that on for you. 12.5%? Oh, that's very sweet of me. As always, if you like what I do, hit like. If you haven't subscribed, there's some stuff that isn't kind of shit tours around Edinburgh coming up. And if you want to be notified about when I actually do return to the shed and do some bleepy bloops and that kind of stuff, hit the notify button, which is the bell-shaped thing. See you next time. 2. And if you want something posh, the Witchery by the castle, not the best food in the... Oh, shit.